live streaming going forward now. From now on, every race, we will continue to upload the streams to the podcast places. So please tell your friends about us. Get your family involved. Formula One is the fastest growing sport in the world. There's about 100 million people just got through watching the Austrian Grand Prix. So have all your friends and family become part of it. Welcome, Formula One fans. This is your Formula One News Hour, and I'm your host, Jonathan Steele, and welcome to qualifying for the Formula One Grand Prix of Mexico, which has just started. 18 minutes, and we're at 17 minutes and 53 seconds. This circuit is an incredibly nice circuit, especially as you go through the grandstands. It's a favorite of many fans, and especially if you're a diehard Formula One fan. But the grandstand, as the road curves through the grandstands, it's really a very special view. So as we watch the cars come out, they're in their outlaps. So let's go ahead and thank our sponsors. Thank you to Synology, a data center in Austin, Texas, providing all 7 layers of the technology stack, which includes co-location, private cloud, public cloud, in fact, all things technology. So if you've got a technology need, please give Synology a chance to earn your business at Synology.com. And of course, the guys from Give, Send, Go, you can't always predict what's going to happen to you in life, but you can certainly pick who you'd like to help you get out of these problems that you may find yourself in, or maybe your friends have found themselves in some problems, or you may just want to earn some money for a business, or you may just want to get out there and help the folks like in Hawaii and different folks, the poor guy in New York that got involved helping some people on a train and then ended up getting charged with manslaughter. So if you'd like to do that, please go to givesendgo.com. That is givesendgo.com. And of course, the Moms for Liberty, nearly 200 chapters throughout the United States now, and they're all about trying to get teachers to teach your kids English, science, mathematics, the things they'll kind of need when they get out of school, and they got to get a job. So it doesn't matter what their gender is or what they might think it might be or whatever, it doesn't matter. All that matters is they've got the qualifications to be able to hold down or start a job, hold down a job, and have a really productive life. So please help the folks at momsforliberty.org. As we watch Kevin Magnussen come around the track, we don't have any qualifying times yet. His will be the first as he went across the start-finish line. So whatever times he's setting, for a brief moment, he's going to have the fastest qualifying of the Mexican Grand Prix. And while we're waiting for Magnussen to finish his laps, I do want to say that we had a magnificent time at the Formula One here in Austin last weekend. And thanks to the Formula One folks for giving us a press pass and allowing us to get some really good conversations going, some good pictures, and some good times with the drivers and the team principals and others. We've got a really good interview that we'll be putting up soon that we did with Helmut Marko. A very, he doesn't, when you look at him on TV, he doesn't look like he's a really personable guy. Let me tell you, he is a really nice, personable guy. And we've got a 15-minute interview with Helmut with some very interesting things to say. He and I think a lot alike when it comes to Formula One. And one of the things that we both kind of agree on is the cars are getting too techy, right? We're not really seeing the real talents of a driver. We're seeing the talents of a driver that can keep a extra fast glorified go-kart on a track at high speeds and get it around the track as fast as possible. He doesn't have a heavy clutch to deal with. He doesn't have a gear shifter to deal with. He doesn't have steering without power steering to deal with. He's got power brakes. He's got everything. So we're not really seeing the talents of the drivers. And both Helmut and I kind of agree that maybe we need to start taking away technology so that we can see the drivers competing and not just the cars. Although he does say, and I'm going to give away all the interview on it, he does say that he believes Max Verstappen is about 50% of that car. and he reiterated that the car that Max has and the car that Checo Pérez has is exactly the same thing. So we've got our first lap times in, and Magnussen's in at 1:19.730, and Alonso's just come in at 1:19.7. We've got Gasly at 1:19 and Stroll at 1:20. So I will say that during the free practice sessions, they were coming in at around 118, high 118s, low 118s. So I expect that as we get into the qualifying session, that the qualifying speed's probably going to be around the high 116. So if I can read this, what's going on right now as they adjust to the track, as the temperatures in Mexico is a couple of hours, about an hour behind us. Here in Austin, Texas. So I think it's 4 o'clock here, so it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon there. And so the sun is up quite high right now, but as we start going through as qualifying moves through, then temperatures could well come down a little bit, or they could go up, because the hottest time of the day is usually around 5 o'clock after the sun's been beating down on the track and just beating down on the land all day long. That seems to be the hottest time of the day. Looks like Perez has had a good middle sector, and has turned in the fastest lap. Verstappen's out doing one of his qualifying laps, and he is, of course, has the fastest first sector. So let's see where our friend Perez is going to come in. And Perez came in at 1:18.5. So that's about what he was doing. And incidentally, he had some very good free practice times. And Yuki Tsunoda's just come in at 1:18 right behind him, 0.3 of a second behind him to be exact. I was saying that Checo had a really good free practice session, along with, incidentally, Danny Ricciardo. Danny Ricciardo and Checo were consistently up there in the top 5. And now Verstappen's just come in at a very low 1:18, just 9 thousandths of a second in that 1:18. If he could knock 9 thousandths of a second off, it would have been 1:17. So I think that we're going to be looking, like I said, at a high 1:16, maybe a middle 1:16 is going to be pole today. So as everybody's out on the out laps. Lewis Hamilton's turning in a timed lap. So we've got 10 minutes and 58 seconds of qualifying session 1 to go. Is it me, or do these qualifying sessions just seem to go by faster and faster and faster? It's just crazy how quickly they seem to go by. Anyway, so we've still got a lot of cars, though, that are out on the out laps. We've got Gasly, Lando Norris, and Esteban Ocon still in the pits. So they haven't come out at all. Whereas Piastri's come in at the 6th fastest. Right now, Perez has gone back into the pits. Valtteri Bottas has just come out, and he's come off his out lap, and he's doing a timed lap. So let's see what it's going to be for Valtteri, who has struggled mightily this year. And I'm thinking it's got to be the cars, though, because neither of the Alfa Romeo drivers have done anything to write home about this year at all. Valtteri was a little plus 0.2 of a second slower than everybody. Well, slower than certainly Verstappen there on the outlap. Danny Ricciardo has just turned in the fastest first sector. As I said earlier, Danny was having an absolute amazing free practice sessions, consistently in the top 5. I think one time I saw he was number 4 up there. So he's obviously getting the feel of that AlphaTauri car, and he's now turning in the times. He's turning in faster times in that car than he was turning in for McLaren last year, which is why he's not with McLaren this year. So let's see, he's on par for the second section, and Valtteri Bottas has come across he now is in second place. So he made up some time there in the second and third sectors. And Danny Ricciardo now has just come in right behind Verstappen, 2/10 behind him, but ahead of Bottas, Perez, Hamilton, Tsunoda, and Russell. Let's see, Hamilton's a full half second off the pace, and George Russell is a full 7/10 off. So quite some slow times coming in for those guys as we get a replay here of Daniel Ricciardo in the AlphaTauri and getting held up a little bit by, is that his teammate? That could well, yeah, it was. That was his teammate, Yuki Tsunoda. So interesting stuff there. So he may have been able to get in even faster time if he had not had that hindrance. So we've still got Norris, Sargent, the two Ferraris, Leclerc and Sainz, and Hulkenberg and Ekon with no times yet. And Sargent's just set the fastest first sector. Lance Stroll's just come in at 11th. So let's see how little Mr. Sargent is going to do. He's got to do really, really well in these last, what are we at now, 4 or 5 races. Otherwise, he is not, I don't think even if he does really, really well, it would keep him in that seat next year. I'm sure that the guys at Williams' team are looking at Liam Lawson because he just had an incredible 4 or 5 races there for AlphaTauri. I mean, he was consistently up there. In fact, I think he might have actually got a point thanks to some disqualifications in Houston, which we'll talk about during the off week. We don't have an off week until the week after next. Next week we're in Brazil. So now we're getting times. Everybody's got a time except Lando Norris. I don't know what's going on with his car, but the guys that are on the bubble is Stroll, Albon, Piastri, and Sargent. So Sargent might have had a really fast first sector, but he lost it in the second and third sectors. So right now we've got Verstappen, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Bottas, and Perez are your top 5. And we're getting a shot now of Verstappen. Are they going to bring him out? I don't see the point other than to maybe do a little setup on the car, but they're taking off those little coolers that keep the engine cool while it's in the pits, and they're going to bring him back out. And it looks like Lando Norris, they're taking the warmers off his tires, so he's going to come out now with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go in qualifying session number 1. And if he doesn't put in some really fast times straight away, he's not going to make it to qualifying session number 2. But let's not jinx him. Let's see if he can do it. He had a really good race in Austin last weekend. In fact, if you took, and this has got Red Bull worried, right? If you took the last 4 or 5 races, the 2 McLaren drivers have, and I'm just watching a replay of why Logan Sargent dropped some time. He lost it going into a corner, and he did manage to save the car, but he ended up going sideways. Anyway, back to the McLaren story. They've earned more team points than any other team the last 4 or 5 races, and this has got the folks at Red Bull worried, because to win the team championship, like let's say Verstappen, has another year like last year. If Sergio Perez cannot consistently stay in the top 5, then they're not going to win the Constructors' Championship next year. And Perez has not been able to do that, especially the last few races. So they're really, really trying to get Perez to get up into that top 5, because they could win the Drivers' Championship and lose the Constructors' Championship. Kind of the opposite to what happened to Mercedes in 2021 when they won the Constructors' Championship but lost the Drivers' Championship to Verstappen. So where Bernie Collins is who used to be Checo Perez's strategist, by the way, now works for Sky News, is on there. I sent her a message. She wasn't in Austin, but I'm trying to get an interview with her and with Hannah Schmidt, because it's really interesting to me to see the female engineers. I mean, let's face it, Formula One's a pretty much an all-man sport. You don't see a lot of women around it. And to see women in critical positions like that, I think is really great. I think it's good for the sport. It's good for women. Lets little girls that are growing up now, lets them know, hey, you want to be part of Formula One, you want to sit on the side of the track and be a strategist or be a driver. We had the academy in Austin last weekend. So there's many men said that women can't be Formula One drivers because they don't have the core body strength. And I will say to those men, have you ever been walking through an airport and seen a woman carrying a baby, carrying a bag, and pushing a chair all at the same time, and like 3 miles through the airport? They don't have core strength? I don't know which guy said that, but he hasn't spent a lot of time like I have walking through airports, watching the incredible core strength of these women as they carry the whole thing. Sometimes I've seen women carrying a lot more than their husbands. Their husbands are carrying one bag and pushing a chair, and they're complaining. So let's see, there are so many people out here. Are we okay time-wise? That's Hamilton asking, and Hamilton right now is running number 7. Oscar Piastri just took over that second place from Danny Ricciardo. So Verstappen did come out. He is on an outlap as we watch Alex Albon, who has just taken over 9th place, so he's comfortably into Q2. Right now we've got Ocon, Magnussen, Stroll, Norris, who just put in his lap time. He's minus 2.5 seconds, so I would argue, or suggest, not argue, but suggest that there's something kind of wrong with his car. Joe Granu just got himself up to 15th. So as we watch William Joseph, who is the race engineer for Lando Norris, but it looks like Lando Norris did that to himself. He nearly lost the car. He did a very, very nice job of saving that car. That's what cost him the lap time, not the fact that it was a car issue. It was the driver issue. So he's still got time. He can get back and get another lap. We've still got 1 minute and 42 seconds before they cut off the start. You have to cross the start. Guys, the tires are completely gone. It's a completely different car. That's Alex Albon talking to his Williams engineers. I'm going to grab some water here. If you noticed, I haven't really had allergy problems. Of course, it's 3-4 o'clock in the after 4 o'clock, 4:15, 4:30 here in Austin. So anyway, they've got to cross that start-finish line before the time expires. So we are 1 minute and 3 seconds. So you've got to get across that start-finish line in the next 1 minute and 3 seconds. When I said it, otherwise you can't do it. That whatever time's on there, you're stuck with. So and I just saw that the stewards were looking at a pit exit problem for Verstappen. They haven't shown a replay yet, and I didn't see what happened because I didn't see them come out of the pit. So we do have a yellow flag, so that might be just the end of qualifying session number 1. Let's see if they leave it out, and let's see where the problem is. I don't see. They have a little map on the TV of the cars going around the track, and I don't see any one car stopped. So I don't know what the yellow flag would be. Maybe a car lost some part of its body or something as it was going around the track. But they've certainly left the flag. No, it's gone back to green now. So somebody spun out is what it was. Somebody spun out, and then we were waiting for them to get back on the track. As we watch Fernando Alonso, where he's in 10th position in qualifying right now, and of course. We're on the last lap of qualifying everything. Now we're getting the replay, and I think it's Fernando Alonso, and did he lose it? No. Let's see. Yes, he did. Whoa, he spun around 360 and did a good job of saving the car, and he couldn't save it from going all the way around though. So anyway, he's fine. All his advertisers got a really good, got their money's worth. We haven't been talking about the Haas cars of late. will be investigated up. So whatever Verstappen did will be investigated after the qualifying session. So as we now wait we're getting a replay of George Russell coming out of, George Russell just about ran into when the qualifying session started. So, okay, let's talk about who involving Russell will be investigated impeding some guys' pathways. So, Lando Norris is not going to make it into Q2, neither is Logan Sargent, Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen, or Esteban Ocon. So at the very top, though, you've got some very, very nice surprises. You've got Danny Ricciardo up there, number 3. His teammates all the way down in the 11th position. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, we just heard Alex Albon complaining about his tires. So Logan Sargent did not have the kind of day that I'm sure that he wanted to have to kind of maybe help impress his employers that, yeah, you could stick with me for next year. I'll do you a lot of good. I don't think so, Logan. If I was making this decision, Logan, I would be calling up Mr. Liam Lawson, saying, Liam, what are you doing next year? Because you just, unfortunately, you just don't have it as a Formula One driver. You were okay at Formula 2, and notice I said okay, you weren't great, but you did well enough to get into Formula 1, but I don't see that you're going to be there very long. Anyway, we're in between qualifying sessions 1 and 2 right now, so let's thank our sponsors again. Thenology, a small data center in Austin, Texas, providing technology, all the technology that you could think or ever believe that you could ever need. They supply it. Everything from co-location to private cloud, public cloud, everything you need, all the configuration, security, that's a big deal today. They have the experts to provide you with all the security that you're going to need. So please go to Thenology.com. That's Thenology.com. And then, of course, the wonderful folks at Moms for Liberty trying to persuade all of you folks out there, that's you, everybody that's listening or watching, please get out there, especially if you've got, my kids, my last 2 just graduated college. Well, my baby girl's in Rome right now, but she's about to, next month, in December, she'll come home and she'll have graduated. She got held up a semester because she transferred from Wagner to Kenyon. Anyway, I don't have kids in college anymore, so but those of you who have just little babies, 1, 2 years old, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, whatever, however old your children are, get out there and join Moms for Liberty and help them get the school boards set up properly and get the teachers teaching what all the kids today need to learn. They don't need to know about genders or race. You ever notice kids don't see race at all? They just don't see it. They just see each other. They just see people. And so we don't need to have all of this race theory thrown at them, because I can tell you from when I grew up to today, racism's long gone. Is there still some bubbas out there? Well, maybe. But for the most part, racism's gone. Gender, sexual gender. Does anybody before the age of 12, 13, 14 really know or worry about what their sexuality is? No. So why the hell are we trying to push it in the schools? So we need to get rid of all that. And the folks that are trying to get rid of it are Moms for Liberty. They've got almost 200 chapters throughout the United States. So get out there and help them. It's momsforliberty.org. And by the way, what they need a lot of, because they've grown this really nice organization, takes money to run it. It takes money to run all the servers, the websites and all that kind of stuff. So please get out there, donate or put in time and help momsforliberty.org. As we watch a Q2 session about to start, Sergio Perez is sitting in his car waiting as they're interviewing Frederic Vasseur, who is the team principal for Ferrari, that car. And so we're looking at the dominance of Ricciardo and Perez, and Ricciardo is much better through turns 4, 5, 6, which are some really nasty double back hairpin turns, and he's got better straight line speed than Ricciardo. Now that is very interesting that AlphaTauri would be faster down the straight line than the Perez car, the Red Bull of Perez. Very, very interesting. As we watch the Alex Albon getting his car attended to. We've got 6 minutes left as we watch. You know, one of the real things that I really like about also the Mexican Grand Prix is all the people are the brightly, lots of bright colors, lots of big smiles everywhere. It's just these guys know how to enjoy themselves and enjoy their time at a sporting event. Of course, they've been known to have some pretty ugly times at sporting events too, but for the most part, they're a happy crowd, especially at Formula One. Nothing to get upset about at Formula One, just everything to cheer about as we watch a replay of Verstappen going over the curbs. You know, and they go over these curbs, and what happens when they go over these curbs, the car's going up and down like this. Well, the higher the car lifts off the ground, the less grip it has. So it's kind of, you'd think they'd want to stay off those curbs altogether and maintain that grip, because once it lifts up, then it starts losing its grip a little bit because the air underneath is not being, the suction is not as great. So it's kind of a balance that they have to play as we watch Joe Granu getting ready to come out. Where is Joe Granu right now? Oh, he's sitting in number 10, so he's on the bubble. So I think, I don't think Alonso is going to be stuck down there. But folks, we're going to have another outlap and a fast lap. That's it, because everybody's in the pits and nobody's interested in coming out, which must mean that they don't think there's much they can do much more with these cars. But when I'm looking at it, you know, there's a full second between first and 10th. In fact, a little better, 1.1 seconds, and then after that, you know, there's I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to adjustments to be made to make up here, and they're not making these adjustments like I think they should be. So, but you know, I'm just a podcaster sitting in a room in Austin, Texas. If I was really smart about Formula One, I'd be sitting on the wall, you know, right next to Hannah Schmidt. Talking to her about what we should do next, but I'm not. I'm just sitting here being a talking head. So I should stick to predictions and talking heads instead of stuff like that. Anyway, they're coming back out of the pits. They're getting under the track. And as we watch Yuki Tsunoda, let's see if they made all the adjustments to his car that they needed to make. And as he goes out, he has to weed in between. They all decided to leave at the same time. So we have already Ricciardo's out there on his outlap. Albon's, it's another mess leaving the pit lane again. Well, it was too. Yeah, there was a lot of cars right there, and it's tough. But you know, you could have left a minute earlier, right? You could have left a minute earlier, and you wouldn't have got into that mess. As Verstappen just sits there, so he's. I wonder what he's waiting for. Ricciardo's on an outlap, Piastri's on an outlap, so everybody's on an outlap, with the exception of Verstappen, who's sitting in the pits. I wonder if he's not going to bother coming out. Maybe he's just going to sit there, or maybe he's going to come out and do an outlap, just in case he's got to make up some time. That's probably what it's going to be. He's going to sit in there and then watch the time. He's going to get out there. So you got to get out there in the next 30 seconds because there's 2 minutes left, 2 minutes to go. So he at 1 minute, let's say 1 minute 20 seconds, 1 minute 25 seconds. If he's not out on the track, he's not coming out because he wouldn't have time to get all the way back around on an outlap to get a timed lap. So he's still there. He's still sitting in there. Let's see, 135, 34, 20, 31, 30. I don't think Max is 127, 128. Well, he's still got 10 seconds or so. Well, not 10. He's got to come out now, otherwise he's done. And he's not coming out. Max is not coming out. So he's decided that lap, he's watched the others going around, and he's decided that 1:17.625 is fast enough. Which is, if this keeps going like this, then I don't think we're going to get out of the 1:17s down to the high 1:16s like I thought we would. It looks like we're going to get, we're going to be somewhere in the, maybe even right where Max is right now, 1:17.6. Who knows? Okay, so on the bubble is Joe Granu, Alonso, and then Alex Albon, then Gasly, and then Tsunoda. So let's see. They've got we got Leclerc and Gasly out there. Leclerc just turned in the third fastest time behind Piastri, but ahead of Ricciardo. Oh wow! Ricciardo just turned in the second fastest time, just 0.008 of a second behind Verstappen. What has he found in that car on this track? That is amazing, because his teammate George Russell has just knocked him back one. So Mercedes did something 4,000 of a second behind Max. So very interesting, very, very interesting stuff. And Joe Granu just got out of the cellar and got himself up into 10th place. And Hamilton just took over the fastest time at 1:17, so he broke Max's time by 1/10 of a second. So it's still, Ricciardo's up there in fourth. So if this was like the final place, Ricciardo would be on the second row starting, and he could well be on the first or second row starting. Alex Albon has found something in that car, and he's in at 9th place. So whatever adjustments they made in the pit there at the end, Alex found it. So Alonso's in the pit, so he's not going into Q3. So it looks like those going into Q3 are going, those not going into Q3 is going to be Joe Granu, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Alonso, and Tsunoda. Those that are into Q3, as we watch, looks like Danny Ricciardo climbing out of his car there. Yeah, it was Danny Ricciardo. So your top five are Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Ricciardo, and Piastri, with everybody in between. Doesn't look like we got Piastri at 5th, but it doesn't look like either Ferrari or McLaren are enjoying this track. Certainly, Ricciardo is. His teammate Yuki Tsunoda is in the pit with no time in 15th, so he's going to end up 15th, and Ricciardo came in at 4th. So very, very interesting stuff going on here in Mexico as we take a slight time out here let's talk a little bit about something very interesting that happened to me at the Coda track last week. So there's the ESPN has this hospitality booth, and so a lot of us end up going, a lot of members of the press and the rich and famous and all that. And sometimes it's just people that work for Formula One that are not working at the track, they just come in for the race, and then they of course they got passes to get into the paddock area. And it's in the paddock area where they have the hospitality suits. So ESPN had their hospitality suit and so so we went in there, and there was sat down, and Andre and I, our producer, all things technical guru guy, we sat down next to this couple, and so we got to talking to them. One of them lives in London and works for Formula One. The other one lives in Bastrop. But had lived in London for 10 years and got to be good friends with the lady that was working for Formula One. So she got a ticket and a pass for both of them, and they were sitting there, and so we got to talking to them. And so, we went through the thing, who do you work for, blah, 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 blah. So I told them about Formula One News Hour. And she goes, oh. I said, What's wrong with that? She said, your thing came across my desk. I said, what came across me? Your name. So why would my name come across? Why would the Formula One News Hour come across your desk? She says, her job is to protect the Formula One logo, right? So, but Formula One News Hour went across her desk because she's there to protect Formula One, right? So the thing is, if you look at how we say Formula One News Hour, our little logo, you can see behind me. I said to her, you can't. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't reserve the name Formula One. You can't. It's not copyrighted. It's something, a trademark it. You can't trademark in 2 words Formula One. You could trademark how you wrote Formula One. You could trademark, for instance, they've got the F1 logo. You can trademark, right, copyright that, all those other things. And she says to me, well, I don't want to talk about it. I said, well, while you're the person that protects the F1 logo. I said, we work together. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I work with a company that has the technology that can tell whether that logo has been ripped off. I said, there's a code in that logo. And the cameras on TV can pick that code up. And if they can't pick that code up, that means somebody's ripped off your logo. And I said, the company that I work for, we host that company, the equipment and everything. And so we run all that through our data centers, and then we call you up and all that kind of. We don't. The company that does that work for us, and they're a global company. But I just thought that was really interesting that we made it to the protector of the Formula One name, logo, and all that kind of stuff. We made it across her desk, of course. And of course, we don't write Formula One any special way. We've got our little F1NH thing, but because Formula and One are just 2 words in the dictionary, which is how Formula One started, how they got their name. Okay, so that interesting story. So fastest sectors, Sector 1 is Verstappen, Sector 2 Hamilton, and Sector 3 Ricciardo. So Danny Ricciardo, he's having a fabulous time in Mexico, getting some of that form back that he had. For those of you that have just been following Formula One for a couple of years, Danny Ricciardo was Red Bull #1 driver at one time, and then they brought in Max Verstappen, and Verstappen took over as #1, and Ricciardo wrongly thought that he was going to be forced out the door. So he kind of said, okay, well, I'm not going to wait for that to happen. I'm going to leave. And so he went to Renault. So Renault now is AlphaTauri. But he didn't need to do that. He really didn't, because Red Bull really liked him. But you're in the top 20 in the world. There's only 20 Formula One drivers. They've got egos so big that, and they've got to be successful at this. They've got to believe that they're the best and nobody can beat me. They have it, right? You've heard me talk about that a lot. So Ricciardo left. And what's really interesting is, when McLaren let him go, they still had to pay his salary for this year. And so Red Bull picked him up. And that's how he's with AlphaTauri, because AlphaTauri is Red Bull's second team. So it looks like that Danny has really found his place. Now, here's going to be an interesting thing. If the last few races, Danny Ricciardo gets that AlphaTauri up into the top 3 or 4 spots, and Sergio Perez is down there and below #5, does Red Bull do a switch for 2024? They're not going to get rid of Checo Pérez. He brings way too much money to the team. But they might swap him so that Danny Ricciardo moves from AlphaTauri to Red Bull and Checo moves from Red Bull to AlphaTauri. Let's see. It's to be continued. All right, so we've got 12 minutes in qualifying left. And we have Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez out on the track. Where each one is, I don't know. I don't know who's leading, but we'll find out in plenty of time as they are out doing their outlaps. So we have left the guys who can qualify for pole of Verstappen, Ricciardo, Piastri, Leclerc, Bottas, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, and Joe Granu. So it's nice to see both the Alfa Romeos up there in Q3, because I don't think they've made it out of Q1 very often. So they've obviously made some nice changes to those cars, and the drivers are rewarding them with getting them into Q3 here, both of them. So that's really good. So you got both the Mercedes, both the Red Bulls, both the Alfa Romeos, both the Ferraris, and then Ricciardo and Sainz. And Perez now is going out. So Perez is ahead of Verstappen as he starts his first lap, his first timed lap, and we're on board with him. And he looks like he's although that's, I don't know, he's kind of fighting that steering wheel a little bit. So I don't know if it's windy, or if the car's a little loose, or he's just pushing it a little too hard. Either one could be the cause. But watching his hands there on the steering wheel, he's really fighting it. Now, you know, when you're going at these high speeds and with the way these cars move, you're always overcorrecting. So you're always going to see a certain amount of movement on the steering wheel. Even when they're going in a straight line, you're going to see a little movement on that steering wheel as the car's moving all the time from side to side, even in a straight line, because the wind and stuff like that. As we watch Perez go past somebody going really, really slow, and that, of course, will make people not very happy. And Verstappen is already beating Perez's times in the different sectors. So Perez, I think, is going to come in here. Come on, show us his time, please. I don't know if everybody's noticed. I got the camera set up again, so I'm watching the race and everything all the time. And Verstappen came in at 1:17.2, so I think I'm going to be a little off on my estimate on the high 1:16s, although he's only 0.2 of a second under 1:16. Danny Ricciardo right behind him by 1/10 of a second. Bottas at 1:18. Perez in third place at 1:17.7 right now. So he's right at half a second slower than his teammate. And Carlos Sainz has just bumped Verstappen from provisional pole position with a 1:17.2. That pushes Ricciardo down to third, and Leclerc comes in and pushes them all down. We're at 1:17.1. So I may just be a fortune teller, and with this high 1:16 for pole position, because we're only 1/10 of a second away from that now. George Russell's just come in at a 1:17.6, so that's not a very good pace for him. And Hamilton is also in at a 1:17.6, just 0.02 of a second faster than his teammate. So we still have no time for Joe Granu. So we're watching the team principal for what's going. Well, we're going to watch a replay for Max. Whoa! So Max lost probably a couple of thousandths of a second there, maybe a little more. He had to fight to keep that car on the track. He's coming. When I boxed, just double check the front of the floor. Turn 8 was quite a harsh hit. Yeah, it was. So he's going to come in and get that checked quickly. So let's see. Right now he's in third. Ricciardo's in fourth. So Ricciardo, if it was to end right now, Ricciardo would be on the second row. And remember what I just said 5-10 minutes ago, it could well be that Ricciardo finds himself on the second row or even the first row tomorrow. He is getting a lot out of that car. So, you know, good for him. Glad he's having a great weekend. And they're bringing him back into the pits. In fact, everybody's in the pits right now except Russell, Hamilton, Piastri, and he's in the pits. And Joe Granu's on an outlap. Gap to the leader, 0.2 of a second. So they got to find 2/10 of a second in that car, and they've got about 5 minutes to find it. So obviously Ricciardo is enjoying driving on this track. Everybody's on the soft tire, so that should be pretty obvious. And now everybody except Joe Granew's on an outlap, and as we sit and watch Joe Granew come through the turns, no time set yet. So he's is he on an outlap? Yeah, I think he's just on an outlap. He's not even trying right now. But like I said, it's good to see these Alfa Romeos out there right now. Valtteri Bottas does have a time, and he's a full 0.8 of a second behind the car. Sorry, I'm very sorry, but the cameraman's doing things to me deliberately. He's picking out some very attractive spectators watching the Formula One Grand Prix in Mexico. I just wish he would not do that to me. But anyway, let's get back to the cars, John. Well, the cameraman didn't. He took away from the cars. Not my fault. Let's see. So let's see. Joe Granew is going to put some time in now. Let's see how he does through this first sector as he comes down. He's coming in now to the S's and the hairpins. So through turn 4 and 5, going into turn 6, and coming in right now. Looks like it's pretty smooth as you come in. Those are the turns that are right there at the grandstand, where those spectators have just an incredible view, because you can see the whole track from wherever you are in the grandstand. You can see, both sides of the track as they're coming in and going out. So just a spectacular view. He is Joe. He's plus 0.6 of a second over Leclerc on the first sector. So that is that's not good. Let's have a little drink of water, shall we? So we have 4 minutes left. Before we find out who is going to be on pole. And something happened between Q2 and Q3, and those, as we watch for the reserve driver for Alfa Romeo. Go back to your thought, John. Ferrari did something between Q2 and Q3, because in Q2 they just weren't quick at all, and now Q3 they're up there. If things don't change too much, both those Ferrari cars are up there on pole and second place right next to them. But so we're going to see all the cars, and they're all coming out to do their outlap. So we're going to know here within 3.5, 4 minutes who is going to be on the pole. And as we watch these cars come through, of course, some of them space themselves deliberately as we watch the young kids on the TV waving and smiling. It just reminds me of when I was a kid. I wasn't quite that young when I started following Formula One, but I can remember the excitement of being a kid and used to listen to the radio, of course, because in the house where I grew up, we had no running water, we had no electricity, we didn't have a bathroom, we didn't have much of anything. We had a sandstone house, and that was it. And we had a transistor radio. It was a valve radio. And everybody that's out there today don't even know what a valve radio is. And it had a battery that was battery was about 8 by 6 by 4. It was really heavy, and they didn't last that long. Anyway, back to what I was doing. The kids are having a really good time, and that's good to see. And just about everybody's on an outlap, with the exception of Piastri, Joe Granew, and Bottas. So let's see as Carlos Sainz comes back down through the straightaway to come across and start his final lap. Let's see, he's up to 208, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16 miles an hour, and all the way back down to coming into turn 1 there, and the speed drops down to around 60 miles an hour. So right now it's showing Leclerc at 117, 166. So he's not taking that time off the board. He's going to leave it there. Verstappen is on an outlap. Ricardo has come in right now. So they're not making. They're not making that. Oh, Ricardo's doing his time now. He's not picked up any time in the first sector. Sainz is also not picked up any time, and Leclerc, they're just making their original time. Sorry about it. So it's going to be interesting. Russell and Hamilton are on the outlaps. So Ricardo's plus 2/10 after the second sector. So he's actually going slower. He might want to just keep the time that he has. Ricardo is, let's see, it's 1:17, 1:66 at the moment. That's the prediction for him to finish. Let's see. No, that's Leclerc's time, 1:66. So it looks like everybody's adding a little bit of time. Ricardo, yes, he's added a little time. Verstappen has lobbed some time off in the second sector. So everybody right now is not going to change. The only one now who can actually change it all is Verstappen, and he's not going to. So we are going to have, by the looks of it, Ferrari on pole and in second place, followed by Verstappen and Ricardo. Unless Russell and Hamilton can do something spectacular as they come in through the S's and everything for the final time here, but I don't think it's going to change. And Verstappen is not, although he's had an incredible free practice time and everything, and Russell does not change positions, and Hamilton swaps positions. He moves up to, so he is going to be on the third row with Perez and Hamilton. Second row is Verstappen and Ricardo. And of course, pole is the two Ferraris. And of course, that makes the Ferraris very, very happy. When we see the Ferraris often getting up there into these really good positions to start the day and then slip back during the course of the day, because the Red Bull cars are about a half second to 3/4 of a second faster during race conditions. The cars are just much better. So folks, tomorrow afternoon we have the Formula One of Mexico Grand Prix coming to you at 3 Eastern time. I believe we'll be live streaming like we have today with qualifying and of course building the podcast. So we want to go ahead and finish this day with thanking our sponsors. Thank you to Thenology at thenology.com. Thank you to Moms for Liberty at momsforliberty.org. And of course, thank you to GiveSendGo at givesendgo.com. So don't forget, John, don't forget, you must thank Andre Kuhn, the greatest producer, technical guru on the face of the earth. So thank you, Andre, for everything you do. And folks, this is your Formula One News Hour and your host, Jonathan Steele, saying until tomorrow, we'll see you then.